Hi guys. All right, I'm going to do some updates here and start listing some journals and different varieties of journals so you can get an idea of the many ways that you can create as simple or as complex as you want. You can start out by using basics, and I'll be teaching some classes and showing you more in the future the various ways. I do this mostly because it's so therapeutic and it's creative and it lets you just relax. And if you're not relaxed, stop and take the pressure off of yourself to create something that's just unique. There is no right and wrong. The beautiful thing about art and creating is it is a work in progress. You can always learn to improve, and it is always just right the way it is, period. Imagine yourself as a 3-year-old, right where you're at now. You're going to start with the basics, and if you have zero creativity, and most people have more than they think, so even if you think you have zero, you probably have 40 or 50% of ideas. But just don't compare your work to my work. I'm just giving you ideas, and they'll be implemented through the videos that I show and share, and it really helps. And I really encourage folks that are going through grief to start doing some of these things. It can again be as simple or as complex as you want. If you like to play with glue and cut and all that kind of stuff, this could be a nice time for you just to get away from the sadness and the grief, because the grief never really goes away. Or you can even use that as any kind of trauma or issues that you're dealing with in life. That when you stop and you are thinking of something creative, and you can even put words and things down in the journal that tell the story without telling the story, if you know what I mean. And that is just a beautiful way to convey and start healing. So, any issue you're going through, this kind of thing is really great for helping you through the process. And again, no pressure. So, this was a set, this chipboard. This is called chipboard. It's like a heavy duty, or it's like a lightweight cardboard, but with some heaviness to it. So, I would say it's like, if you've ever bought the Kodiak pancake mix, their boxes are very thick and firm versus like the flexibility of the cardboard from a cereal box. Okay, so that's like a cardboard, but it's real flexible and light. And the Kodiak, especially the bigger size that you get at Sam's or Costco, they're very thick and heavy. Okay, and I don't know, we can't see this. Okay, I thought I had it set up so we could see it. So I'm going to put this here. Okay, so you can kind of, this is what the info on this particular journal is. I'm doing some changes, so I'm not adding any more to my Etsy store at this time. I do have some items up, but what you can do is, if there's something that you would like to purchase, if I still have it available, you can just send me a message and let me know. Okay. So this is my YouTube page. I'm going to start utilizing this more and creating more live feeds and so forth. So please share, please click, please share and subscribe and click. Okay. So this was a kit that I got at Michael's many years ago. It was really, really popular. I think you could still find them. I simply decorated the the little clip holders here with some green yarn. It just kind of fit the look of it all. I took stamps and I just stamped along the side when I started. I added buttons, all kinds of different buttons. I added a little bit of netting with this little brooch, this little, oh, not in the, I might have to put this up a little bit. Let me move this up a little bit. Maybe that'll help. So this was a little brooch pin. So I collect jewelry, necklaces and so forth, and if people are going through their jewelry items, I will take them and take those apart. And I'm telling you what, for me, taking apart old jewelry, like costume jewelry, is very therapeutic. So on a night where I just really don't want to think and I don't want to create and work, I find it very therapeutic to grab a couple of necklaces and just start ripping them apart. And I keep a little bin, little plastic bin with all the different jewels on it. Okay. And so there's lots of different ways you can do this. You can buy the little metal pieces in little bags at various stores, Walmart, Joann's, Michael's Hobby Lobby, and so forth. So that's one page. So the process is I went through and I just used my Distress ink pad. Like this. I have the various colors, whatever color you want to use, and I just put it on here and just make the edges dark, okay, or whatever color you want to use. And then I use ribbon. You can even take ribbon off of a gift that you've gotten, off of clothing. So when you're going to throw something away, or you might want to give it to Goodwill, take the zippers out, take the buttons off, take the tags off. I love using tags on clothing. They make great decorative pieces. I try to use a lot of recycled items. I go through magazines, I go through the ads that come in the mail or in the paper, and I cut those up. If you have a handy printer, if you see little things like butterflies or whatever item, you could just print those out, and you've got to learn your program. I can't tell you how to use your computer because they're all so different, and depending on what kind of printer you have and how that's laid out, when I open up my picture, I just print, and then I can put 10 to a page, 16 to a page, and print that out to get the most out of my page. You'll have to figure that part out. Anything printing and technology, you got to figure that out on your own. I can't help you with that one. But yeah, so using all kinds of, I use old Bibles that are kind of falling apart and cut out the scriptures. So instead of throwing it out because it's ripped up and whatever, like maybe you have an old Bible at the church and the lost and found and no one's picked it up for 3 years, instead of throwing it out or whatever, take it and use it for this kind of stuff. It's not sacrilegious. You're not ripping up, you're using the word, and people are reading it. So I use feathers. I would be careful with feathers on the ground because you don't know if they're tainted with any kind of diseases or bugs or anything. So I usually get the feathers that either come in a gift or in a card, or I can buy some. They've gotten a little bit pricey lately, over the last maybe 5, 6, 7 years. They used to be super cheap to purchase. So whenever I can, if someone just happens to have one and they don't want it, I'll take it and then I cut it up. I can cut it up into small pieces. So any kind of paper that you can find, whether it's an old devotional, again, papers that come in the mail, whatever strikes you. If it looks intriguing, cut those pieces out. I keep little boxes with my cutouts, and that way it's cut down, ready to go when I'm ready to create. I use little metal pieces here, and it's okay to repeat. So I repeated using this little square black button. I use paper clips, these little fun paper clips. Glue those on real good. Anything heavier, you got to make sure that you glue it on really good, and I usually find the best way to do the heavier items like metal or buttons is using tacky glue. Elmer's glue will work, but it doesn't stay on very well. One good swipe and it will come off. Not to say that the tacky glue won't not stick, but it does work. It's much firmer, and be a little bit generous. Don't be overflow with it, but be generous to cover enough that it will grab a hold of each side. and it'll stay on a little better. Now here's another piece. I look for ribbon, and again, on gift tags, gift wrap that you might get, put them in a drawer. And I just folded that over, glued that right on. So cute. Little ribbons. I'm glad I used to pick up ribbons when they used to be 3 for $1. Now they're lucky to be $1 each. So I'm really glad that I stocked up back in the day. And those reams of ribbon do last quite a long time. They're usually 3 to 10 yards depending on the brand and the size. And so they do last a long time when you're using smaller pieces. These were some really pretty leaves. I believe I found at Hobby Lobby. They've got the most unique stuff most of the time. But this was a roll of little leaves, and I got it like in January after autumn was over. And just a lot of fun there with that one. And again, this was a roll of ribbon that was very expensive, like maybe $5 for small, like maybe 2 yards. And I probably got it for 50 cents because Christmas had passed and everything. So those are the kinds of things I look for. Here's another cool way to make your journals, is to just take some ribbon, take some yarn or whatever, and just glue it on real good and just press it down all over the place. So there's a lot of texture in this particular book, and the shapes come to about approximately 6.5 by 4. There's 10 pages, but on double-sided it's 20. And I do sell this one for $50 because there was a lot involved with this one. A lot of little items. I did use quite a few buttons of my own that I had purchased, so that brings the cost up a little bit more. So depending on how much time I spent and how many pricey items I use within the item or the journal, it kind of goes with the cost. If it's something I'm writing in and just creating real quick, and it's a few pages, that's the other thing. You take in, when you're selling these, you take into account how many pages, how much time was spent, the cost of the items that you put in there, and time vested, the cost of the piece, and something else. Just went blank. This was fun too. Here's a little peekaboo thing. So I just did this little pullover, and I put piece in here. And you can use the different textures. Be very careful with glossy pages from magazines. It does make it look much different. I personally don't usually like adding glossy with matte paper, regular paper. I just don't like it. But I'm not a big fan of glossy pages. Again, this one is a 3D button. So is this one, so is this one. Added a button here, some yarn, some lace. Here's a little metal star. Again, kind of 3D. Glued that on. And always make sure that you let your glue dry before you move on. So if I'm gluing things, I'll create what I want to create, and then whatever I glue, I do that very last, usually at the end of the night, let it sit overnight, and let it dry. And depending on the humidity at your house, the weather and so forth, you might need to take a whole day to let something dry. So that is Journal 2318 with chipboard. And you can see it's a little bit thick. Great gift, encouraging, and a lot of fun.